Hello, hello. What's up, y'all? How you doing? Good evening. Trying to get it connected to Instagram. Hello and okay, we got it. Hello and welcome. Welcome to African Ancestry and my special ray of light this evening. I don't know how I got this, but I'm feeling like it's special. I'm Gina Page, president and co-founder of AfricanAncestry.com. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, we are the pioneers of genetic ancestry tracing for Black people around the world. And for the past almost 22 years now, we've been using DNA to help reconnect the African diaspora and the motherland, helping Black folks to transform the way we view ourselves because we have some more information about our ancestries and therefore our identities. And then as a result, transforming the way that we view Africa. And we are very proud and honored to be doing this work and to have been doing it for so long. So I want to welcome you all to our conversation tonight. Shout out to Menelik. Thank you for being here. And thanks to all of you who are here. We're going to have a really cool conversation this evening. My guest is a filmmaker, an entrepreneur, a director, a writer, an actor. Like he's all these different things, just like a creative genius is what I'll say. And we're really fortunate to have him on to talk with us about his upcoming film, Untold Story of Black Wall Street. So I'm looking forward to that conversation. So again, thank you all for joining us. And I am going to bring Devin Egypt Robinson. Hello, my friend. How are you doing?
I am great. I am excited. I circled this on my calendar as soon as we agreed on it. I'm really excited just to even be here. So I'm great. How are you? How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. You're always great though. That's why I'm laughing because your answer is always great or something very close to great.
Right.
Well, thank you for circling this on your calendar. We've been talking. We met in October. It was just October that we met.
Right? I think so. October, September. One is soon. It was recent, very recent.
Yeah, it's been very recent. Fast friends when we were at the UN.
Right.
And there was an instant connection entrepreneurially, creatively. And so I'm glad that we finally have the opportunity to use this platform to share your upcoming film with all of our followers and African ancestry family members. Now, the film, I didn't want to show that one. I'm trying to be cute and not have my glasses on. The film is Untold Story of Black Wall Street. And I just want to jump right in because, you know, over the past, I'd say 2 years or so, there's been a lot of focus in popular culture, in Black culture around Tulsa, around Black Wall Street, around the survivors. We know from an African perspective, two of the last living, or they may have been at the time the last living survivors have visited Ghana. There are all these sorts of connections that are being made and awareness that is being driven around Tulsa and the experience of Black people in that community. What motivated you to tell the untold story of Black Wall Street?
Well, so the way that I put it out there, so the film is the title of the film is called Tranquil Inferno, and the subtitle, the tagline is The Untold Story. Now, how do you get to the untold part? Because we're only told the same part of the story over and over again, which is Black people had something, white people took it away, right? The Tranquil Inferno part, well, tranquil means to be calm, and then inferno is a blaze, right? So at that night of the massacre, it was actually a peaceful night. I believe it in Hannibal Johnson's book, it was like a homecoming game, a homecoming dance or whatever. It was like a peaceful night. And then the Inferno talks about the fire that eventually happened. But the Tranquil Inferno part of it, like the untold story, is much of our information, we get it, and we're kind of like, oh, relaxed about it. Like, oh, so black people had a lot of money, had a lot of stuff. Oh, okay. And they took it away. Oh man, that's messed up. That's how we react. We don't react how you're supposed to react when you find out that, wait, so we had all that like not a million years ago. This ain't in Africa, right? This is here. And they did what? Boom, you blow up to be able to recreate what they did, right? So the untold story is not just the massacre. It's like, hey, look, after the massacre, you know our people did? They had an inferno. They rebuilt and made it better. As a matter of fact, when we talk about Black Wall Street, the vast majority of the time we talk about it, we're talking about after the massacre. That's how crazy, that's how they reacted to being massacred. They reacted to rebuilding their community better than it was before. And that's what we have to do. We have to start looking at the things that are happening in our community and going, wait, what? Detroit looks like what? Atlanta, what? Okay, nah, we got to build it. And they did it in a few years. It wasn't like 20 years later they rebuilt. And that is the untold story of we rebuilt and we can do it again. As long as we have that inferno burning in us, just like I talk about you all the time. It's like there's a few black people who actually care about black people, and we get burnt a lot because we care. But those who get burnt are the ones who are willing to bring others out of the burning house and to rebuild. And that's what this is about. This is the untold story, how we can do it again.
Okay, so let's look at, we have a trailer. I want to show the trailer now that you've told us wet our whistle here. Let me play the trailer so we can see.
Right.
Ooh, so talk to us about that clip.
So
there's a lot of power in that clip.
Right. What I want black people to master when you talk about our stories, you talk about fighters. The vast majority, if any filmmaker out there can attest to this, especially if you're like really into it, the first thing you do when you hear about a black film, you go to IMDb and you look who funded it, who wrote it, and who directed it, right? When you do that, you don't even have to watch it. You're going to know the direction. If we don't fund it, we don't write it, we don't produce it, we don't direct it, the vast majority of the time is going to be somebody else's story. They're going to put people who don't have the spirit of us in it as leads, right? They can be people from different cultures, but there's an African American, like a story within our very being that we can tell our stories. They're going to make sure they're not going to hire those actors. They're going to make sure they hire actors that don't have that cultural connection. So that way, when they speak, you can tell it's just not there. They're going to make sure they have directors that don't have a cultural connection. It's all on purpose because they don't want people who are fighters, who have that innate ability to fight, to be the ones telling the stories about being a fighter. So that's why my story is like, no. I want to show you that we fought back. Like we went out there like, oh, they got guns and no. The black men that were there were in World War I. They were men who they knew how to fight. They weren't people just sitting around waiting. Like, they over here coming up, shooting our women. We just gonna pray and hope that they stop. No, we were shooting back. It wasn't all the people. If we didn't shoot back, it would have been all of us who died. Because why would they spare anybody? His name escapes me right now, but they were killing. I forget his name, but he was a famous black surgeon or doctor from the Mayo Clinic, and they killed him like nothing on his doorstep. Well, why? Because he meant nothing. So you think they didn't want to kill everybody? Something stopped them in the beginning. I don't want to spoil too much, but this is in Hannibal Johnson's book. Like one of the sparks of the riot was black men went to the cell to see, like, hey, look, hey, what y'all trying to lynch this black boy? Nah, we straight. They came with guns. This was back in 1921. Black men were like, nah, y'all gonna lynch. What? Nah, y'all ain't doing that. And that is the story that has to be told. So you can get out of this whole, like, I hope, it's these things that are going wrong with nah, you have the power to stop it, because that's what we did back then when we didn't have all the stuff that we have. So that's the story that clip is showing, those two people saying, hey, look, this may be our last time kissing, baby, but we going out in a blaze of glory. Because that type of thinking makes people not want to mess with you.
So what I'm hearing you say is a few things. One, you took a lot from Hannibal Johnson's book
Right,
as inspiration for telling the story, and you felt that it was important to tell this story because the untold part of the story is how we fought back, how our resistance fueled our success, which became Black Wall Street.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just said it more eloquently. Exactly.
No. Well, that's exciting. So what made you want to tell this story? Because this is not the only film you've made. It's not the only film that you will make. What made you zero in on this story right now?
So number one, I got tired of slave stories because I could always predict how it would end. So that always kind of put me in a state of disarray, because I was always disgusted. So that was one. But my father, who passed in 2020, he got a chance to see a rough draft of this story. So he wanted to talk about Black Wall Street, and so I made a short film. And then he was like, "Man, we should tell a bigger one." And got the short film, started sending it to his friends, like, "Hey, we need money," but no one donated. And then he said to me, he's like, "Man, if I gave you X, Y, and Z amount of dollars, we get a few other people, we could make the feature." And my youthful ambition, I'd say, if you give me that amount, I'll make the whole film for that amount. And I did. Well, in addition to my investment. And 7 years later, I was able to take this investment of his and this vision and make it, because I said I had to finish. So start off as something I wanted to do to get get the vision done. I mean, to tell this story, but then it became like, I got this. I'm holding somebody's legacy, right? Like Dr. John Ruffin Jr., the legacy is in my hand. Like, people are going to see him and go, who is that man? And that motivated me to keep going after he left, because he's been gone for almost like 5 years. And I tell people, the power of you being in someone's life as a voice, as a cheerleader, can be the reason why you're remembered, because now that person is going to want your story to be told. And he meant so much to me because he didn't have to be in my life, because he's not my biological father. This is a man who met me when I was 15. This rambunctious young guy, and he saw me, and him and his wife saw me, and him and Mrs. Ruffin saw me, and they said, we want to mentor him. They gave me a scholarship, and they didn't know, but they gave me proof that I'm worthy. See, one of the biggest things that young Black men deal with, and it's funny because I said it earlier today, because nobody cares, right? Sometimes we don't think we're worthy because we fight so hard to get attention. We fight so hard to be loved, but then the goalpost keeps getting pushed back. First is like, be a good guy, be nice, be kind. You do that. Then what type of job do you have? Okay, I got a nice job. What kind of car do you have? Well, I got a nice car. What kind of house do you have? what's your credit? It keeps getting pushed back for us. And when you have a mentor who can see you, right, and say, hey, you're worthy. Like, I love you. Like, one thing he would say to me, he would say, when I get off the phone with him, I would say, I love you. And he would say, I love you more. And we
Mm.
don't understand the power of saying that. We look at so many black boys are literally raised by they're raised by their mothers who then blame them, who then meet other women who blame the boy for how he was raised, and he's trapped into this world where has he's just trapped because it's like, well, I didn't raise me. I'm trying to figure out what it is to be a man, and he was there. He was there to kind of let me know, and look, you're good. You don't know all the answers. And that motivated me to finish this, because I said somebody who popped into my life had a vision. It said, like, when he left, it's like he knew, I hope he knew, that I wasn't going to let this up, and I didn't. And that's what made me, finish the film. And yeah, so
Well,
yeah.
and it happened when it was supposed to, because like I said, at this point, more people are aware of Black Wall Street. Like, it's not a foreign concept. It has come off the pages of history books,
Mhm. Mhm. Right,
and
right,
you're seeing the survivors on social media. So it feels to me like this is the time
right.
that you were supposed to launch it, release it to the world. So it sounds like you finished it just in time. And
Mhm.
Doc Doc Johnson is looking forward to seeing the documentary when it's out, and
Right.
something he can be more aware of Black Wall Street and
Mhm.
its impact. So, you made an impact on one person tonight.
Ah,
Also,
and
Melix is saying this is powerful. It
this is
really
not a
is.
documentary, by the way. Like, this is not a document. This is a narrative, like characters, locations. Like, it's a real narrative. I didn't want to do a documentary. I wanted to show you characters so you can follow a story. So
Okay, so be
you know,
clear. This is not a documentary.
not
This,
a
and
documentary.
you star in it.
Yes, 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 yes. By accident too.
Well, who is your character? Tell us about your character.
So I play Dr. Akita, and I play Sam Mackey. Sam Mackey is a real person, by the way. So I play in two different time periods. I play in 2017 because the story takes place. It starts off in 2017 where a teacher's talks about Black Wall Street, and then we go into the past to show the life. But the reason why it started in 2017 is because it starts right when we find out about the Terrence Crutcher verdict. And Terrence Crutcher was the black man who had his hands up. He was backing up to his car, and the police, Betty Shelby, shot him anyway. And right after the verdict, this is where the story starts, and it kind of juxtaposes what happened back then in 1921, and then what happens now in 2017. Well, now then 2017,
Right.
you get an idea. So I played two different characters, but I didn't. That wasn't on purpose. It just happened that the people who were supposed to play the other ones, production stuff happened. So
Well, that's what happens when you are an entrepreneur.
that is true.
Hits the car, turns the car. You gotta pinch hit. I used to tell people, I don't tell anybody this anymore, but if asked, I
Mm-hmm.
would tell people that I use every job that I've ever had in my African ancestry experience. I feel like I use every bit of training, like big dancing from when I was a little girl through college, things like that. What does dancing have to do with African ancestry? But everything that I've done has prepared me for this work. And in African ancestry, I've played every single role possible. So sometimes we just have to do it. But the good news is you are an actor. So
Oh yeah, that was good. It was funny because when we even had, like, we have another character who was supposed to play. It was supposed to be two characters, but we ended up saying, "Hey, you gonna have to do this by yourself." So then the character becomes, he has a mental illness now, where he's talking to himself, and then when you look at it, you're like, yo, that works out. And then me playing two characters in two different time periods, it works out because of the parallel between the two characters. And I was like, oh, this God is good. Like, if you watch it now, me telling you that, you won't even, you were like, well, that seems like it was written that way. I'm like, no, I didn't want to remember all those lines. I wrote it. Every time I write something, I try to forget what I wrote. So for me to have to now replay all that, and then it worked out on another level because it taught me to give up. Like sometimes God is doing stuff in your life and you're fighting so hard to, it's like, just let it go. And then I looked at the final result and I said, nobody could play both of those roles. Nobody could do both of those roles because that both of them were me at one point in time in my life. And I didn't do that when I was writing it. I was writing just a character. But then when I started acting and then I looked back at the camera, I said, oh, that's me. Yeah.
And
Okay.
I don't think you mean give up. I think you mean more like let go.
Right.
Let
Like
go.
let go. Like you're trying to control everything. So I mean, like give up control.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you said even better. Just like, hey, you got it. Like you got it. Be straight. And then it panned out. Even there are things I have like I have Hannibal Johnson in the film. Right. He makes a cameo. I have Dr. Dennis Kimbrough in the film. He makes a cameo. Dr. Dennis Kimbrough is so influential. Before my father passed, he said, hey, get him in there. I didn't know who he was, right? Blasphemy, right? But when I reached out to him, because I can find anybody, I don't know how I learned how to do that. And I reached out to him. I got his direct cell phone number. He was like, hello? I was like, hey, is this Dr. Kimbrough? Long story short, I said, I want you to be in this film. He said, before I get in this film, no, before I talk to you, you got to read 4 of my books, 3 or 4 of my books. And I said, sure. I think like 2 days later, I read 4 of his, wherever the books came, 2 days later, I'm calling him, hey, so I read all the books. And he was like, oh, okay. And then from there, he was a part of the film, giving me advice, yada, yada. But it taught me something about this process that is not me. Because how was I able to get this guy, this man, this legend in our community to be in a film, right? And like how? And they even having Chet Brewster to be the director. And this Chet Brewster is like the director of directors. He directed the film. And then I had Ernestine Morrison open up the project. Wow, like all these things happen, and I just sat back going, I don't know how none of this is happening, but I'm letting go. I'm letting go. I'm being happy.
You're on a need to know basis. You didn't need to know all that. You just needed to do the work
And
and
I
keep it
definitely
moving.
did. I definitely
I love
did.
it. I love it. So you have a special offer for the African ancestry family. You can find the film at Black Wall Street film.com. So it's here in the caption. But you have also created a code so that so now there are 2 things. You can when does the film come out?
On January 26th.
January 26th, the film is released and it's going to be released online on your site.
Correct.
blackwallstreetfilm.com.
Correct.
And there are 2 ways you can watch it, correct?
Right. You could physically come to the premiere January 26th. It's in Snellville, Georgia, or you can stream it at your home online, blackwallstreetfilm.com. And for the promo code for all listeners of African ancestry is AA10, and it gives you 10% off, and you're able to rent it. And renting, I think, is like $5 or something, and or you could buy it for $10. And you're able to, when you buy it, of course, it's permanently yours. Rented, you have it, I believe, once you start it, you have 48 hours to finish it, and you'll be able to help me make noise in the world, because the more people that watch it, it makes it even easier when now I approach distributors and I say, look, I got 1 million people that watch this just with me. Let me get this on your platform as well. And then you help put some money behind it, so that way I can then go and get this to even more people. But even without that, everything I do, my people support. That's the blessing I have. That's the other part where I let go. I'd have to reach out to anybody else, any other community, to help make this film. So I don't want to start that now. That's why I need you guys to support. Make sure you buy it. You tell somebody else you buy it. And if you love the film, tell 1,000 people. If you hate the film, tell 10,000 people. Because guess what? There's a lot of crappy movies out there. There are a lot of good movies out there. And many times we support those horrible movies that don't even benefit us. This right here, the difference with this film, unlike any other Black film I've ever seen, is at the end of the film, it actually gives you direction. It gives us a plan on what do we do next, right? Many of us are worried about what agenda, 2025 and blah blah project 2025 or agenda 2030 or all these other things, or the 2050, all these things that people are doing, these globalists, and everybody's worried, right? But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What's our plan, right? This is it. This is it's a 5-pronged plan that I came up with based off of the Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson, Think and Grow Rich by Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, and many other things that they did in Black Wall Street that we can do. And this is not this mystical. You know how many times you get with people and they start, what we need to do in the Black community is all this like ambiguous talk. No. These are not terms of ambiguity. Very specific things that we can do now with the money you have in your pocket now. I'm gonna give you one. 2012. Every month you budget $20 that's going to go to a Black business. Every month. Simple thing, right? But the psychology behind it is that now in your mind, you're putting Black support as like a mandate. Why is that important? It's something called economic detour. When we were segregated, this is what we did. It was literally something we did automatically. However, now we have to do it mentally because every other culture does it. If you're a Black woman and you have the best outfits and you're an amazing designer, you're not going to get a lot of Mexican, Asian, white women that are walking through your store. For some reason, they know not to support you. Some reason, right? However, the reality of it is that they have something called a mental economic detour. They just know not to support you, right? So we have to have a mental economic detour where we're like, I'm not gonna, if I'm gonna buy some perfume, let me go to this Black business and have that in your mind. And that's the power that other communities are doing that we actually we already did it. They're copying us. So we just got to go back to what we've always been doing. So the first 2012, that's the first prong, and it's one of the simplest things. The second one I'll give you for free, how we talk about each other. You heard what I said? My project was funded by Black people, everything. And I expect Black people to continue to do that because that's what I do. I support everything that I do, from the even clothes I have on right now, Black person made it, right? That's what we have. We have to speak positive about one another. We're going to do some silly stuff, right? But we got to make sure we can talk about a specific person, like Mike stole $12 from me. You got to say all Black people steal because of what Mike did. We got to start speaking positive about one another. Why? Because our words are very, very underrated in regards to power that they have. When I get on, I'm like, how you doing, Gina? Just me saying how I'm doing can make you feel a certain way. But if I got on and say, yeah, man, I'm doing this little African thing, how's she going to feel? So we got to be careful with our words. So those are two things that I'm going to give you that we talk about in the film.
So let me ask you this. How should people watch the film? You have a you have a 5-prong plan for what we can do once we watch it. But how do you recommend we watch it? Should we watch it in groups? Should we watch it and then have a study group? Like what kind of ideas do you have for how people can actually experience the film?
Watch it alone. It's not I wouldn't tell people to watch it in a group. I say watch it alone. You can tell you watch it. The reason being is that one of the tricks that they taught us, right, is that we tell everybody our plans in this like big group, and then we do it. It's not how it works. That's actually, we didn't do that. Somebody told us to do it that way so they can sit in and know what we're doing. That's how a lot of our ideas get stolen or get interrupted. Think about all the slave rebellions that we hear about. They're like, dang, they were gonna do what in South Carolina? And what happened? How did they find out? Yeah, because we did it in a big group, telling them what we're gonna do, rather than having either a smaller group and then executing and going from there. So this one is you are going to watch this film. You're going to see what the plan is. and then you could tell somebody what the plan is, right? Or you can just do it, because all this is a personal thing. If you go and talk to the average Jewish person, right, and say, did y'all get in a group and they tell y'all that, hey, you're not supposed to support black people? No, but I'm pretty, because where's the group? Where are the meetings? Where's the conferences where they come together and do this? That it doesn't happen that way, right? I went to a majority white school. I went to their conferences. Their conferences don't talk about that stuff either, right? It's a game. It's an intimate thing. You make that decision, right? You make the decision to follow it, and then you can tell other people to follow, but it's really about what you do. And that's the power of it. Because once you start doing it, other people follow, because you're going to make it the norm. You're going to say, yeah, oh man, I got to go support a black business. It's almost the end of the month. What are you talking about? Oh, I'm doing this thing 2012. I'm make sure I spend at least $20 every month in a black business. Why? Because that's how we got to make our money. That's why we build. When I support this black business, what happens is now they got more money for marketing. And then you know what? They're going to keep seeing my face. This black business stays in business because of the work that I'm doing, of the money I'm invested. If my child wants to work at this dental office or this HVAC service or whatever this business is, now I can say, hey, Mike or Sally, hey, this is my son or my daughter. You got any internships? You do? All right, cool. It's a paid internship. That's great. Because that's what everybody else does. And they copy that from us. So you watch it by yourself. You can watch it with somebody else.
Okay.
Watch it by yourself.
Watch it by yourself. Use promo code AA10 when you go to blackwallstreetfilm.com and you'll get 10% off. So you can watch. That's Egypt's gift to us.
Yes,
so
yes,
you'll be able to watch it. And I mean, I think you should just buy it. You can watch it for 48 hours and spend $5 or double that, spend $10 and buy the film. And then you can refer back to it. If you've taken notes, you can go back through your notes again. It seems like we need to take notes because you got that 5-point plan at the end.
Right.
So I encourage everyone to go to blackwallstreetfilm.com January 26th and stream the film. Check it out. Spread the word. Like Egypt said, I feel like because we're on the live, I have to call you by your government name. I don't even know where that came from. But like Egypt said, if you love it, tell 1,000 people. If you don't love it, tell 10,000 people. Like, we just need to get the word out. We've heard how difficult it can be for independent filmmakers like Egypt to get their projects done. This took 7 years. Let's support him so that the next project doesn't take 7 years. The next project can be done in 1 year or whatever a reasonable amount of time is for a project. I appreciate your passion, Egypt. I appreciate your love for Black people. I appreciate your level of consciousness as it relates to what's possible for us and what we've already done, which makes it possible for us to do other things. Your generosity, you're a major networker and connector. If you don't know, like you just told us with Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, if you don't know the person, you figure out how to get to the person. All of those things are fantastic qualities that I admire in you. And I appreciate you making this film, first of all, and then sharing it with our community. I really do.
I appreciate that because like I mentioned to you, I always wanted to meet you. And I would write you on Instagram, but there's a bunch of people writing you at the same time. And every time you would post something, I would tag you in the post, like, hey, so how did you feel about, going to this country? What's your favorite country? And I was like, she never like responds back to the comment. And then when I saw you, I promise you, I was like a deer in headlights. I was like, Curtis knows her, and then to make the introduction, it was very pleasant interaction. And here's a funny thing, right? After this film, I promise you, my goal literally is just $2 million. It's a small goal, but if I get $2 million, right? I have a film series. When I tell you this is going to be like Black Panther on steroids. It's called Slapped. It's these children that go back in time and they end slavery. They end racism in multiple ways. They go back in time. They fix something that happened in the past. I don't want to give too much away. They fix something in the past a certain way, then they come back into their timeline. The alternate timeline to see the effects of it. But I want Black people to see something because we do that in other ways. Like it's a real thing we actually do. But like I want Black people to see it. When I tell you like how I wrote this, how futuristic it is, because it gives you an understanding of like what could be and what should be based off of what we can do now. So it's like a play on it because we literally reshape history. And that's the crazy thing about us. Like the moment we accept that like the world is the way it is only because Black people have forgotten who they are. No group in history has had the level of impact in the world over what we've been able to do. The only being close to it is like Genghis Khan, right? But outside of that, there's something about us. The moment we forgot like how dope we are, like we forgot, like we're asking for permission. We're hoping to, that somebody may like us if we, act a certain way or vote a certain way. The moment that happened, we lost something. I'm gonna give you this and I'll leave it. You gotta ask yourself, from the time that we got here up until around like the 1970s, right? I'm not gonna negate the 80s and 90s, but just for this, look at the things that we created that don't even make sense given that time period. It doesn't even make sense. And then after that, up until say 2010, when it would make more sense, like from the 70s to like the 2010s, we're like, oh, we had more access. But then you think about it, like, but these are the children of the people from that previous time. Like, how did that after the like around like the 70s when there was more drugs getting pushed in, and then the 90s when they had the real big push on drugs? How did we create the music, the genres of music, the inventions? Like, how do we do that? But the moment you forget who you are, you think all those things that they did when they didn't have access to the internet and money and guns is like a fairy tale. But we did that. That's the power that we have.
Yeah.
The moment we remember who we are.
And you're speaking to the work that African Ancestry does. Shout out to Doc Johnson. I mean, that's what we're doing. We're giving people back their genetic memory because you talked about what we've done since we're here, but when we understand what we've done before before it was even a thought that we might be here, the possibilities are endless. And so I appreciate what you're saying, and I'm looking forward to Slap. So we all got to go and get our copies of Black Wall Street or Tranquil Inferno, Untold Story of Black Wall Street, so that we can support this independent filmmaker and we can get this new story told, because we want to hear about Slap. And with this, it's kind of like a cliffhanger. You're teasing us now, giving us a little bit. But thank you so much for sharing your time with us. Thanks to all of you for checking it out. And again, Black Wall Street Film.com is where you go. AA10 is the code that you use for 10% off. Even if you don't use the code, y'all, it's $10. It's $10. And he gave us one of the pillars, which is to spend $20.12 a month with a Black-owned business. That's nothing. $20.12 a month is nothing. So you can spend half of that on this film, which starts January 26th. So we've got, what's that? What's today? The 15th. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Look at that. Look at
that.
that.
11 days until the movie premieres. And so please, everybody, be sure to go to blackwallstreetfilm.com. And
you can pre-order now. You can start now. You can pre-order now for then as well.
And then you'll be ready. You don't have to scramble because you'll already have it and you'll be able to watch it when it launches.
And also you can book so you asked about the next step. So I do a workshop called Recreating Black Wall Street. So I go to churches, I go to schools, I go to colleges, and I show the film. And then after the film, we do a workshop called Recreating Black Wall Street. So you can actually book that on the website as well.
Look at that. Full service solutions for how we can help improve ourselves and improve our community. You all, this is Egypt Robinson, filmmaker, motivator, actor, multi-hyphenate. You're all sorts of things, entrepreneurs, supporter, connector, and all of those things. Thank you for joining us, Egypt. I really appreciate having you.
I appreciate you for having me. Thank you.
Everybody, we're getting ready to go on the African Ancestry Family Reunion inaugural trip to Nigeria. We'll be there January 19th through the 30th. So make sure you're following us on social media so you can see what's happening. We're going to try and go live as much as we can or send back videos so that you'll see what's going on. Shout out to those of you who are my I saw House of Cousin in the comments. I think I saw a Yoruba cousin in the comments. So we're ready. We're excited. This is the first time that we will be visiting Nigeria as African Ancestry. And then we're going to Colombia in May. So check out africanancestry.com/travel or travel.africanancestry.com so you can see our and we're going to Cameroon. We're going to Cameroon in March. So African Ancestry is on the road helping to connect the diaspora and Africa and building bridges so that we better understand that we're all one people. Thank you for joining us tonight. Until we meet again, may you be happy, may you be healthy, and may you be whole. Have a very good evening. Bye, Egypt.
Bye.